My name is Mia Sullivan. I am 25 years old. It was New Year's Eve, and I'd invited my family over to my little house in Wichita, Kansas to ring in the new year. We were all gathered in the living room with snacks spread out on the coffee table and the TV counting down to midnight in the background. My mom was the first to shatter the mood, leaning forward from the couch with that sharp look she always gave me, like I was a disappointment she couldn't quite fix. Mia, honestly, why are you still wasting your time teaching those snot-nosed kids at that rundown elementary school? At your age, I was already managing a whole office, not playing babysitter. Her words cut through the chatter and everyone went quiet. My older sister Grace smirking from across the room, while my dad just stared at his plate. I forced a smile, trying to brush it off like always, but inside it stung. My mom had never hidden her favoritism for Grace, the golden child who'd married well and popped out a kid right on schedule. Me, I was the afterthought, the one who dared to choose a job helping second graders learn to read instead of chasing some high-powered career. Have you ever had a mom who made you feel like you were never enough, no matter what? I'd love to hear. If anyone's dealt with that, drop a comment and let me know where you're watching from. That night wasn't the first time my mom had belittled me in front of everyone, but it set the tone for what would become the worst evening of my life. Looking back, I see now how her contempt had been building for years, always pushing me down while lifting Grace up. It started when we were kids back in our family home on the outskirts of Wichita. My dad worked long hours as a mechanic fixing cars at the local shop, so my mom ran the household like her personal kingdom. She was a secretary at a law firm downtown, sharp and organized, but at home, she poured all her praise into Grace, the older sister, who excelled at everything, straight A's, cheerleading, captain the works. I remember one Christmas when I was about 10. I'd spent weeks drawing a family portrait for my mom, coloring it carefully with the crayons I'd saved my allowance for. Grace, 13 at the time, had baked cookies from a mix, but my mom acted like it was a gourmet feast. "Look at what my talented girl did," she'd gushed, hugging Grace while barely glancing at my drawing. "Mia, sweetie, art's nice, but maybe next time, try something useful." My dad had patted my shoulder later, whispering that it was great, but even then, I felt invisible. That pattern never changed. Grace got the new clothes, the driving lessons first, the college fund boosted by my mom's extra shifts. I scraped by with hand-me-downs and a part-time job at a fast food place during high school. By the time I graduated, my mom had made it clear Grace was the success story and I was the backup plan. "You should aim higher, Mia," she'd say, her voice dripping with that fake concern. "Grace is going places, engaged to Christopher, already talking about starting a family." Christopher Patterson was Grace's high school sweetheart, a real estate agent who'd climbed the ladder fast. They married young, and soon enough my nephew Noah arrived, this bright-eyed kid who lit up every room. I adored him. At 9 years old now, he was curious and kind, always drawing pictures for me like I used to do. But my mom's disdain for me only grew as I chose my own path. After community college, I got my teaching certification and landed a job at Lincoln Elementary in Wichita teaching second grade. It wasn't glamorous, but I loved it, the way the kids' faces lit up when they sounded out a new word, the hugs at the end of the day. My mom saw it as a failure. "Teaching, that's for people who can't do anything else," she'd snapped once during a visit. My dad Thomas would mumble something neutral, but he never stood up to her. He loved us both, I think, but my mom's will was ironclad. Fast forward to last year when my grandma, my dad's mom, passed away. She'd left me her house, this cozy 2-bedroom place in a quiet Wichita neighborhood, because she'd always said I reminded her of her independent spirit. It wasn't fancy, but it had a backyard and that old furnace in the basement she'd maintained forever. My mom was furious. "Why, you Grace has a family to support," she'd demanded at the reading of the will. Grace and Christopher were struggling a bit, real estate market dips, they'd said, and my mom pushed me to share the inheritance. "It's only fair, Mia. You're single, no kids. What do you need a whole house for?" I refused, wanting my own space after years of feeling overshadowed. That decision lit a fuse. In the months after my mom's jabs got sharper, she'd call me up pretending to check in but always circling back to money. Grace and Christopher are barely making ends meet. If you sold that house, you could help them. I'd changed the subject, but it wore on me. My health started slipping, stress, headaches, trouble sleeping. At work, I'd zone out during lessons, once even mixing up the kids' names, which never happened before. My principal pulled me aside, concerned. "Mia, you seem exhausted. Everything okay at home?" I'd nod, but inside I knew it was the constant guilt tripping from my mom. Then came the insurance questions. A few months back, my mom had insisted I get a life insurance policy. "It's responsible, especially since you're alone," she'd said, even helping me fill out the forms. I didn't think much of it. She named herself and Grace as beneficiaries, saying it was for family security. Looking back, the red flags were there. Grace started dropping hints too, always echoing my mom. "Mom's right, Mia. We're family. We should look out for each other." But it felt one-sided, like I was the ATM they kept shaking. That New Year's Eve, I wanted to start fresh, so I invited them all over. My house was decked out with string lights and balloon snacks, like cheese platters and veggie trays instead of a big sit-down meal. Noah was excited, running around with a noisemaker. My dad arrived first, hugging me tightly. "Proud of you, kiddo. The place looks great." Then Grace and Christopher showed up, him in a flashy watch that screamed money they supposedly didn't have. "Market's tough," Christopher had complained last month, but that Rolex said otherwise. Grace handed me a cheap bottle of wine, her smile too bright. "Thanks for hosting, sis. Mom's on her way." My mom arrived last, stamping snow off her boots. Wichita winters can be brutal. She looked around my living room with that critical eye. "Mia, you really should update this decor. It looks like Grandma's ghost is still here." Right away she started in, and that's when she hit me with the teaching jab in front of everyone. Grace laughed it off, saying, "Mom's just teasing." But Noah frowned, glancing at me like he knew it hurt. He's always been perceptive, that kid. As the evening went on, we mingled, chatting about nothing much. My mom kept glancing at her phone, her jaw tight. Christopher's phone buzzed constantly too, and he'd check it, knuckles white. "Work stuff," he'd mutter. Grace filled the air with talk about their neighborhood renovations and Noah's school play. I nodded along, but I noticed Noah watching his parents oddly, like he sensed the tension. My mom pulled me aside in the kitchen while I refilled drinks. "Mia, we need to talk about the house again. Grace is pregnant, did she tell you? They need space, and you're rattling around here alone." "Wait, pregnant?" Grace hadn't mentioned it. "Mom, this is my home. I earned it." She rolled her eyes. "Earned? Grandma just handed it to you because she pitied you. Be realistic, help your sister." I bit my tongue, not wanting to ruin the night. But her words festered. Later, Christopher's phone rang again, and he excused himself to the basement, saying it was a client call. "Won't be long." Noah, munching on chips, set down his plate and mumbled, "I need the bathroom." Heading the same way. My mom watched him go, then turned to me with a forced smile. "Such a good boy. Grace is so lucky." But something felt off. Her cheer was too rehearsed. Minutes later, Noah came back upstairs, his face pale, hands shaking. He tugged my sleeve, pulling me toward the hallway. "Aunt Mia, I heard Dad on the phone. It was scary." My heart skipped. "What do you mean?" He whispered, eyes wide. "He was talking to someone about the furnace and carbon something. Said it'd look like an accident and then they'd get the money, $600,000. And he mentioned you dying tonight." Carbon monoxide. My blood ran cold. The CO detector I'd noticed missing from my bedroom last week, I'd thought it fell behind the dresser. And the insurance policy. I crouched down. "Are you sure, buddy?" He nodded, trembling. "He said by morning, and Mom knows." Mom knows. My stomach twisted. This couldn't be real. Noah must have misheard. But his fear was genuine. Footsteps creaked from the basement, Christopher coming up. I squeezed Noah's hand. Don't say anything. Promise. He nodded and we returned to the living room like nothing happened. My mom eyed us sharply. Everything okay? Her tone was casual, but her eyes assessed. Fine, I said, forcing steadiness. Noah just wanted a snack. She studied me a beat too long, then turned back to Grace. But now I watched her differently. Was she in on this? The way she favored Grace resented me. Could it go that far? I needed proof. As the party continued, neighbors dropping by with casseroles, laughter filling the room, I announced casually, "House feels chilly. Going to check the thermostat downstairs." My mom protested immediately. "Let Christopher handle it later, Mia. You're the host." But I insisted, "I've got it. Been maintaining this place myself." Down in the basement, the air was cold and musty. I approached the old furnace, heart pounding. The exhaust vent it should pipe outside. Instead, it was redirected upward toward the floor vent leading to my bedroom. Fresh scratches on the connections. Recent work. In the nearby trash bin, my CO detector battery still good. Deliberate. My hands shook as I snapped photos on my phone, the vent, the detector, everything. If the furnace ran tonight, CO would fill my room. I'd sleep and never wake. Accidental poisoning in an old house. And they'd collect $600,000 from my policy. Footsteps above, slow and deliberate, heading toward the basement door. My mom's voice called down. "Mia, what's taking so long?" I shoved my phone away. "Just checking the filter, be up in a sec." A pause. "Don't stay down there, it's freezing." Her steps retreated, but rage boiled in me. This was no accident. And if my mom was involved... Back upstairs, I played normal, but everything sharpened. My mom's earlier jabs now felt like probes testing my resolve. Grace and Christopher exchanged glances, and Noah stuck close to me, silent. The signs I'd ignored flooded back: my mom's insistence on the insurance, her pushing me to sell the house, her contempt for my wasted life. Even my grandma had warned me before she died. "Watch your mom, Mia. She always puts Grace first, no matter the cost." By 9, I couldn't fake it anymore. The party was in full swing, but my head throbbed. "Excuse me, got a headache. Need to lie down a bit." Murmurs of concern followed, but my mom watched me closely. Up in my room, I locked the door, staring at the photos. This was attempted murder. But Noah's room, he was sleeping over tonight upstairs, too. CO rises. Did they know? Did my mom care if it hurt him? Collaterally, options raced, confront them, dangerous. Leave, but Noah. I uploaded the photos to the cloud, then pocketed my phone. A knock, my mom's voice concerned. "Mia, honey, you've been up here a while. Brought you some tea to relax." She pushed the door, but it was locked. "Open up." I cracked it, seeing the mug steaming in her hand. "Thought this might help you sleep." Sleep. The word chilled me. Her eyes watched, waiting. I took the mug from my mom's hand, feeling its warmth, but her smile didn't reach her eyes. "Thanks, Mom. That's thoughtful of you." She lingered in the doorway, watching as I pretended to sip the herbal scent, strong chamomile. Maybe something else bitter underneath. "Drink it all, Mia. It'll help you rest. You look so tired these days." Her concern felt like a trap, and as she turned away, I dumped the tea down the sink, watching it swirl away, my pulse racing. Back downstairs, the gathering continued, neighbors chatting about Wichita's harsh winter and the upcoming fireworks downtown. But I moved through it like a shadow, my mind on the basement sabotage. My mom kept appearing nearby, offering snacks or refills, her eyes flicking to me with that calculating gaze. "Mia, sit down. You're pacing like a caged animal." Grace nodded along, her hand on Christopher's arm, while Noah clung to my side, whispering, "Aunt Mia, when can we watch a movie?" I suggested he crash on the couch later, away from the upstairs bedrooms, framing it as fun to stay up late. "Sure, buddy, we'll put on something good." My mom overheard, frowning. "Noah should sleep in the guest room, Mia. Don't spoil him." But I insisted, and she dropped it for now. As the clock ticked toward 10, the pressure built. Christopher suggested I turn in early. You do look worn out, Mia. Big day tomorrow, back to those lesson plans, right? My mom chimed in first, always the one to twist the knife. Yes, dear, get some rest. Teaching those kids must drain you, especially since it's not like Grace's job where she actually advances. The neighbors chuckled politely, but it landed like a slap. I deflected with a laugh, but inside years of her belittling flashed back, dismissing my report cards as adequate, while framing Grace's shaming me at family gatherings for not marrying young like her successful daughter. Her deep dislike wasn't new. She'd always seen me as the flawed one, the reminder of her own unfulfilled dreams, resenting me for choosing independence over her script. Noah tugged my hand again, his voice low. Aunt Mia, Dad said something about the tea, too. On the phone. My stomach dropped. The dumped tea, had they spiked it to make sure I slept through the poisoning, I needed to act. Around 10:15, with guests starting to bundle up against the Kansas cold, I slipped away to the small downstairs bathroom, the one with a sturdy lock. My mom noticed immediately. Mia, where are you going? The party's not over. Her tone sharpened like she sensed something off. Just freshening up, Mom. Be right out. I locked the door, heart hammering, and pulled out my phone. Battery at 45%. I dialed 911, keeping my voice to a whisper. 911, what's your emergency? The operator's calm cut through my panic. This is Mia Sullivan at 1425 Oakwood Drive, Wichita, Kansas. My family, my mom, sister, and brother-in-law are trying to kill me tonight. They've tampered with my furnace to cause carbon monoxide poisoning for my life insurance payout. Saying it out loud made it real terrifying. A pause, then professional efficiency. Ma'am, can you explain, are you in danger right now? Yes, I'm locked in the bathroom. They've redirected the vent to my bedroom. My nephew Noah is here too. His room's upstairs. CO rises. It'll hit him too. I rushed through the details, the overheard call, the photos, the insurance my mom pushed me into. Units are en route about 5 minutes out. Stay on the line. Is your nephew safe? He's downstairs. I told him to stay on the couch. But as I spoke, a knock rattled the door. My mom's voice edged with irritation. Mia, you've been in there forever. Open up. The knob twisted, testing. I'm not feeling well, Mom. Give me a minute. The operator murmured. Do not open that door, ma'am. Another knock, harder. Mia, who's in there with you? Are you on the phone? My mom's suspicion rose sharp as ever. Outside, I heard Grace's voice joining. Mom, what's going on, Mia? Then Christopher. Let me check on her. The door shook as someone, probably Christopher, leaned against it. Open the door, Mia, we can help. My mom's command came first, always leading the charge. Mia Sullivan, stop this nonsense and come out now. You're embarrassing us in front of the neighbors. Officers are 3 minutes away, the operator said. Stay calm. The pounding intensified, wood creaking. She's calling someone, Grace hissed. My mom shouted, Mia, if you're being dramatic again, so help me open this door. Her contempt boiled over, the same tone she'd used to shame me for years, but now laced with desperation. Noah's voice pierced through, small and scared, from the living room. Aunt Mia, what's happening? Stay there. Noah, I called back. Don't come near. Get the kid out of here, Christopher muttered. Footsteps scrambled. Were they trying to leave? Sirens wailed in the distance, growing louder. The banging stopped abruptly. Oh no, my mom whispered. Mia, what have you done? The front door burst open, police announcing themselves. Wichita PD, hands where we can see them. The operator's voice. Officers are on site, ma'am. You can exit when you hear them identify. Chaos erupted, shouts, footsteps thundering. I unlocked the door, stepping into the hallway. An officer stood there, hand on her holster. Mia Sullivan. I nodded. You're safe. Your nephew's with my partner. Through the open door, I saw my mom in the living room, face-flushed eyes blazing at me. Grace clung to Christopher, both pale, while Noah huddled with another officer. Neighbors gawked from the porch. The New Year's cheer shattered. "You called the cops on your own family." My mom spat, her voice breaking the stunned silence. She stepped forward, pointing at me. "After everything I've done for you, you're ungrateful, always have been the lesser child who couldn't even make something of herself." The words hung there, her deep hatred laid bare the root of it all. She'd always resented me, seen me as unworthy, and now to secure Grace's future, she'd orchestrated this, pushing the insurance, redirecting the vent, maybe even lacing the tea. Grace echoed, her tears streaming. "Mom's right, Mia. We were desperate, debts piling up. But we wouldn't have gone through." Christopher cut in. "Shut up, Grace." But my mom kept going, her contempt fueling her. "You were supposed to help your sister Mia. Instead, you hoard Grandma's house like a selfish brat. We needed that money, $500,000 after taxes. You've ruined us." Police intervened, cuffing them as they read rights. My mom twisted toward me one last time. "This is your fault, Mia. You were always the problem." As they led her away, something in me cracked, not fear but clarity. Her dislike had poisoned everything, turning family into a battlefield where I was the enemy. The house became a crime scene, tape blocking the basement, texts photographing the tampering. I sat with Noah on the couch, holding him as he sobbed. A detective approached, notebook in hand. "Ms. Sullivan, we'll need your statement. This looks like attempted murder, premeditated." I nodded, showing the photos. My mom was the one who insisted on the policy. She hated me for not fitting her mold, always favored Grace. The signs rushed back, her public humiliations, the financial demands, the way she'd dismiss my achievements while propping up Grace's. Even my job. Why teach when you could do something real? She'd sneered last month, right after I missed a staff meeting from stress headaches caused by her calls. As the night wore on, the truth unraveled. Debts from Christopher's failed deals, over $400,000. My mom had masterminded it, seeing my death as the easy fix for her golden child. "Your young no family." She'd rationalized in her confession later, her resentment clear. But Noah, collateral in her eyes, worth the risk for Grace's sake. By 2 a.m., Noah and I crashed at a neighbor's. He cried in my arms. "I'm sorry," I told Aunt Mia. I held him tight. "You saved us, buddy. Don't ever apologize for the truth." The next week's blurred statements, therapy sessions where I unpacked years of my mom's emotional abuse. My health improved without her constant digs. I slept better, focused at work, even got a commendation for a reading program I'd developed. But the betrayal lingered, a scar from her open contempt. The trial dragged on for 3 grueling weeks, and I attended every session, sitting in the back of the Wichita courtroom, my hands clasped tight to stop the shaking. My mom was the star of the show, in the worst way, always the first to speak up during pretrial hearings, demanding the judge see her side, her voice laced with that familiar contempt. "This is all a misunderstanding," she'd insisted on the stand, her eyes locking on mine like daggers. "Mia has always been dramatic, the one who twists things to make herself the victim. I was just trying to help my real daughter Grace, who's actually building a life." The prosecutor laid it out, the debts from Christopher's bad investments topping $450,000. My mom's fingerprints on the insurance paperwork. Texts between her and Grace planning the accident. My mom had initiated it all, redirecting the vent herself during a helpful visit last week, as forensics proved. Grace and Christopher followed her lead, but she was the decision-maker, the one who'd sneered at me for years, now exposed as willing to kill to fund her favoritism. The jury didn't buy her act. Guilty on all counts: attempted murder for my mom and Christopher, conspiracy for Grace, plus child endangerment for risking Noah. Sentencing hit hard. My mom got 25 years, Christopher 20, Grace 18. As they led her away in cuffs, she turned to me one last time, her face twisted in rage. "You'll regret this, Mia. You were never worth the trouble. You're the reason our family fell apart." Grace sobbed, echoing her weakly, but Christopher just glared. My dad, who'd sat silently through it all, finally met my eyes in the hallway after. I'm sorry, Mia. I should have stopped her years ago. But even he had enabled it, always deferring to her venom. I nodded, but inside I knew boundaries meant cutting him out too, at least for now. The consequences rippled out, believable and brutal. Without my mom's orchestration, Grace and Christopher's real estate dreams crumbled, their house, foreclosed, assets seized to pay debts. Grace lost her job at the marketing firm, her reputation tarnished by the headlines in the Wichita Eagle, local family plot foiled by brave aunt. My mom from prison sent guilt-tripping letters, at first blaming me for destroying her golden child, but I returned them unopened. Their lives changed: no more flashy watches or Prada bags, just regret and isolation. Noah's custody went to me. The court saw I was the stable one, the aunt who'd protected him, when his own grandma saw him as expendable. It wasn't easy. He had nightmares asking why grandma hated us, but we worked through it together. Healing came slowly, but it came. Without my mom's constant pressure, I thrived. Therapy helped unpack the decades of her dislike, how she'd always been ashamed of me for not being Grace 2.0, resenting my independence as defiance. My headaches vanished. I poured energy into teaching, creating a new literacy corner in my classroom that the kids loved. One parent even nominated me for Teacher of the Year in our district. I started dating a kind guy from the school staff, someone who saw my strength, not my scars. Noah and I built a new routine: breakfast pancakes, homework at the kitchen table, reading bedtime stories where heroes set boundaries. We planted a garden in the backyard that spring, watching tulips push through the Kansas soil, a symbol of growth after the storm. I sold off some old furniture my mom had gifted me, using the money for Noah's therapy and a college fund, reclaiming my space. The biggest shift was choosing myself. No more family obligations, no more letting her use me as a scapegoat or wallet. I went no contact, permanently blocked numbers, changed locks, even moved the CO detectors to every room as a reminder. My dad tried reaching out once, but when he defended her, just being tough love, I hung up. Family isn't blood if it's toxic. I found chosen family in friends and colleagues who celebrated me. Looking back, I learned that real love doesn't come with conditions or contempt. Boundaries aren't selfish, they're survival. I won't let my mom or that side of the family hurt or use me again. They've lost their power over me, and I'm finally free. What would you do if your mom turned out to be the biggest threat in your life? Have you ever had to cut ties with toxic family? Share your stories in the comments. I'd love to hear them.